Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Kirusho here, and now, before I do begin, let me give a brief little review. In the last part, we had a lot of things happening. Now, Deku, him and the other heroes, they fought in the Battle of Granala. Granala, the city, was being overrun by a massive amount of threats coming from another plane of reality. But one of the biggest threats was the Tyrant. Now, this creature, it was coming from the Abyss, a place Deku has been to twice already. And in this battle, he dived into it a third time to fight the creature. The creature, it decided the moment it got into that plane of reality to cast a spell, begin to subdue and put everyone into a personalized dream they want. It granted everyone's heart's desire. However, it also had things it wanted to feed on from them. And Deku, apparently, his heart's desire was to find peace again. He was given this peace, only for it to be the very thing that helped him break free of the illusion. He was able to get out of the magical spell and then begin a proper fight. Ochako was breaking people free, and Bakugo, he was even able to break himself free, though he was very unhappy by what he saw. Now, Deku, he got to fight Usun Druso. The dragons were busy fighting Davroom. Bakugo and Ochako were busy commanding troops. And Izuku, during this battle, he fought the Tyrant. He was trying to take on the event boss and push it back into the Abyss, hoping to find a way to possibly close the portal. He used force magic and even properly used destruction magic. This is the most he's ever used it in battle. However, his plans were derailed when Druso began a fight with Izuku. And Deku, he began to learn what this man was truly capable of. Even with his newfound power, he lost their fight. Even after using Fury of the Fallen Dragons, unleashing a devastating attack that killed the Tyrant, he lost. He ended up in Granala's castle, trying to stop the man with what remained of his power from killing the queen, only to discover the queen, Lillian. She is the daughter of the former champion of Granala, the man who used to protect this city, attacked it. But even he wasn't willing to kill his own child. He left. And Izuku, shortly afterwards, collapsed because of the sheer fatigue his body was put under. He couldn't even stand. He was fighting the exhaustion on the edges of his vision. And eventually, he ended up passing out, even with all the people trying to heal him and help him retrieve his magic once again. Now, we do cut to Izuku, who does immediately jump awake, and he does begin to look around, thinking about exactly what the hell's happening and where he is, taking a sharp breath and going to look. He's in a room. He's... Shit, not this again. Okay. Damn, his throat's dry. He's hungry, turning his head and seeing a massive silver plate directly in front of him. And he does immediately begin to scarf down the food that's sitting there. Assorted sausages, cheeses, and even some crackers that are there. As he does scarf the food down, and he does even going to turn. Seeing a water skin, he has a grab and immediately begin to chug. Him coughing up a bit as he does go to continue to drink. And right now, he does sit there for a minute, opening his system and trying to understand what happened. Event concluded. Congratulations. You have done a majority of the damage to the Tyrant. Please collect your reward. him closing that. The tyrant's dead. Okay, the tyrant is dead. That means this isn't his magic? Deku bringing his hand up to his neck and activating Spirit. And whenever he does begin to pull and not feel anything. Though he does also someone going to stand in course destruction magic through his body. Him going to stand there for a minute as he does going to look down. Okay. He's not sure what type of magic this might be. But grabbing the silver plate and going to hear footsteps down the corridor. Making his way over behind the door and bringing it up. As there is where someone is a step into the room. Them looking around and not seeing anything. And Deku, he does watch someone turn as her elven ears do catch his attention. Her going to turn as Deku does a step directly out. Him grabbing the woman by her throat and going to bring up the plate, informing her. Where exactly is he? I'm surprised, since the elf woman doesn't look like Pyra. She does have the same blonde hair, but her nose, her features, her eye color. But please don't harm me. You're currently in. Well, please don't harm her. Deku turning, seeing two other elven women as they do have trays of food, along with the fact that one of them, they do carry bundles of water, informing him that they came here to perform healing on him. Though, please do not harm her. Where am I? Last thing I remember, I was in Granala. Right now, Deku turning to see over a woman's shoulder, as right now he does see Ochako, and Ochako's face does turn bright red. Deku letting go of the woman and staring at her for a minute, before he does go to look back down. And then he does go to immediately open his inventory and re-equip his cloak, it wrapping around him and creating a pair of pants. As the other one in the room, they do still somewhat stare at Deku. Him clearing his throat and expressing. Right. Sorry, he was... He still... What happened? You were brought here. Ochako stepping into the room, meeting Deku's gaze before looking down and away, clearing her throat as her hair is pulled backwards in a braid. We're in the capital city of the next nation. Granala is still being rebuilt. But the battle's over. Yes, it is. These people know you. Yasikwi? I think that's their queen's name. Oh, okay. Yeah. That's spider folk, isn't it? How do you know that? I've heard that name before. The nation next to us. They're on a cliff facing, right? Yeah. Deku walking over and going to look out over the ledge. Right now him looking down and seeing lights along the wall. Okay, that's good. Okay. Right. Sorry. I thought after everything with the tyrant that... Yeah, Bakugo explained that a bit. Is he alright? He's alive. So am I. Though you missed one hell of a battle. Did I? Yeah, you've been out for almost a week. A week? Fuck me. A whole week. Yes. Listen, Izuku. Do you remember what happened? Him running through it in his mind. Right now, him going to think about it for a second before his fist do begin to clench. And he does get turn back to her. Her watching his face turns way too serious. I do. It explains a lot now that I think about it. Fuck. But I don't know. This isn't good. Not one bit. What can you tell me? He left. I mean, he just left? Yeah, he did. It's coming back to me now, but I remember the thing that's jumping out to me. Gather together. We'll need a meeting. How's everyone else? Voss is dead. I see. He went down swinging, if that helps you feel better. I know it's best to tell you about it now, hearing it from me. This guy had a strange spiritual ability, and Voss fought him. He was overwhelmed, but Bakugo took him down. The same guy I killed? That's what Bakugo said. I mean, apparently he has a weird ability. As far as we know, he collects souls, stores them, and summons them for battle. Almost like familiar summoning. I see. Yeah. Though, I did free souls before. That makes sense, but that makes him worse than a lich then. If he can stuff souls into a body, then control it that way like a puppet. I didn't even think about that. The woman still standing there as one of them, they do to set the tray down, clearing their throat as Deku does turn his head. And the woman is looking at Deku a little hungrily. Deku looking around the room before he does grab Ochako by her arm, and the two do to planeswalk away. Right now, both of them going to pop up into the room as people do to turn their attention towards Deku and Ochako. And someone does go to announce with a huzzah that the hero has awakened. And he does go look around the room. The architecture is a little dim, though he can understand Spider-Kin's eyes being far more sensitive to it. It makes sense, and almost does remind him of the Underdark. Right. Him going to turn and look back at the Queen, who does sit there at the largest point in the room. Him staring at the woman, who does go to express, with the bow of her head with a crown on her forehead, that she is quite happy to finally meet him in person. She's heard much about him from before, but his feats and abilities are far greater than then. They felt the ground from Granala shaking from here, and they themselves have repairs to do on this nation. Their borders suffered more damage than they thought, but even their capital city felt the shaking of the ground. It is a pleasure to meet you. I take it we are not overstaying our welcome? Perhaps not. I'm quite happy to have the heroes here. More than one, in fact, is more beneficial to us. If you do wish, you may stay in the castle above or stay here down below. It is not a problem. Though we do have access points for both ways. You could also go up the mountain facing. Be careful of falling, however. Many adventurers, they do like to test their mettle, and even go through a trial of ours. It is tradition for a race. I see. That's not the weirdest thing I've ever heard. Him nodding his head. And Ochako does talk about it, staring at the large woman who is half human, half spider. And she does stare with 8 eyes directly at Deku. Him going to turn to Ochako and talking about it. Right. Well, he couldn't think about where to go to. So, where are the others? They're staying at an inn in town. Though the castle above has Lillian and a lot of other refugees from Granala. People who they felt safer coming along. Though there was someone else taking care of you. I'm not sure where she was, but she's dealing with something else today. You came to check on me? We all have been. Indra's been antsy and Lillian's dealing with stuff, as far as I'm aware. There also have been outreaches from the Fae. I'll have to deal with Thela then. Let her know I'm alive at the very least. Ochako grabbing Nick with the arm and planes walking away again. The two popping into a room as Deku does go look around. Him quickly adjusting to the light around the area, knowing that they are on top of the cliff facing and currently in a proper castle. Him going to turn his head and try to sense out for anybody. And right now, he does get to hear some muttering as people do to turn looking at him. Him even catching someone raising their hands and making a gesture. As Deku does look at a woman who does go to lower her gaze from his. As he does a sigh, asking about it. Okay, what exactly happened? There's been a few things going on. Though, from my understanding, I think word has spread. Right. Him hearing a voice of someone, they do go to crash directly into him. Him bringing his hands up and pulling Lillian directly into a hug. Him looking up to the hallway and seeing many people walking by. One of them being Theodore. And the man, he does have Pierce with him. As someone else is at a planeswalk. Bakugo popping into the room as he's a rush over, asking exactly if he's alive. Shit. When they heard he was down for the count, they thought he'd be down for a minute. This isn't as long, though. That's good. Yeah, I'm alive. Though almost a week? After what you did, I'm not surprised. Listen, man, you've been a little crazy. Things got crazy in Granola. We know. Trust us, we were there. But Izuku, this is different. We think we might have figured out some of our roles. What do you mean? Well, I'd like to talk a bit more in private, if that's alright with you. Him crossing his arms, talking about it. They can gather everyone together and have breakfast. It's good that he woke up. They were expecting him to be out for at least 2 weeks from what the healers said. But it looks like it couldn't keep him down. Him nodding his head as there is about a few minutes later. People, they do go to gather at the inn. And right now, after Indra, she pelted Deku with a lecture. She pulled him in for a massive hug. Her nearly crying at the sheer fact he's back in the land of the living. And she does somewhat comment on the scales that do climb up Deku's neck. Even talking about some she does see on his shoulder through his shirt. Now, Deku, he doesn't pay this any mind at the moment. Right now, them sitting at a table, as the innkeeper, he does go to set down food in front of people. And there currently is Deku, Ochako, Bakugo, and there is Indra, along with Princess Lillian and others who do somewhat sit there. Right now, all of them gathered around a somewhat small table. And Deku, he does gonna start asking about it. What happened after he did pass out? Putting a mouthful of stew into his mouth. And they do someone begin to explain it. After he passed out, Bakugo had to deal with this strange man. And with the tyrant down, they lost a majority of the bulk of their forces. It seems like people got, she doesn't know, like, that they were blessed by that thing. Some seem to lose some of their power, but others, they didn't seem affected. It was weird. She felt mana shifting, going somewhere. She's not sure. But it's not even that, but they don't even know what the Titan is. They've only got a few more days until that dungeon event does start. Right, that is true. And Granala in total, there were a decent amount of survivors. Most of the people evacuated, but those who didn't, it's a mixed number. Right. Okay. Yeah. Though, Baka holding up his flat palm, showing to Deku that he does also have a challenge mark covering his hand. And Deku, he does want to stare at that, asking exactly if he got something out of it. No, I definitely did. I even got to test out another skill of mine, but we'll save that for later. Alright, that's good. Ochako? Yeah. Her gonna pull back her chair and stand, talking about how after they were able to try and get him somewhere safe, she was able to stick around. They tried to send another giant monster, but they took it out. It was a lot harder, and it wasn't an event boss, but it definitely was pretty crazy. Davrum? It left. After the tyrant was taken out, it tried to fight further, but when we got involved, it retreated. That's when that large creature came in. Now that it's down, we're decently powerful. Though, I did hunt down the Phoenix. I didn't want that thing to stick around more. I banished it, and I was worried like how the blob got stronger than it would. It harmed people. Did it? Luckily, no. I caught it fighting with another creature, and I took it out. Her going to bring up her hand as she does go to hold up a phoenix egg, talking about it. She got this out of it, along with another thing. Right now, Deku watching this fiery wings pop out of her back, and they do resemble that of a phoenix. Him staring at that as his spoon does it drop some of the stew back into its bowl. And she talks about it, dismissing the ability as Ash does begin to fall onto the table. That she thinks that she's the warrior of Ash and Sky. I see that. That's not good. Yeah. And I think I might be the champion. Well, I know I'm not the champion. But if we're going off of labels, then the tyrant was the tyrant, so that's 4 out of 4. And, well, Druso, the fallen. Him going to look over towards Lillian, and she does want to divert her gaze from Izuku's before he does go to bring up a hand. Her going to look back up to see Deku still staring at her. Hey, come over here. Her standing up a bit warily and going to make her way over. Deku pulling her in to a hug before he has to tell her to sit. Her doing so on Deku's lap and informing her about how it wasn't her fault. She didn't even know him, right? He died before I was born. I know. What your father did, you didn't know about. Hell, you didn't know him. I'm not blaming you. I know. But his blood is in my veins. I know. I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at him. Her giving Deku a weak smile before she does go to give him a short nod. Atrig clearing his throat as Deku does look back at the man. Him giving Deku a small scowl before informing him. So that does confirm it then. Yes, he told me a lot of information. Some of it I believe you know. He wanted us to find the body. It's so hard to decipher. The information's there, but I can't pull from it. Yeah. Mino Chaco tried. Atrig, he tried too. But it's hurting. I can handle it, but I only got glimpses. Nothing solid. But something about a body and then destroying a factory? Some plane of reality. The abyss. Them looking at Deku. And he does go to inform them. He's talking about the abyss. The gods are trying. He doesn't even know how to explain it. He'll come right out with it. They know the Demon Lord ate the flesh of a god. He got the flesh from somewhere. They figured out that the people with cursed techniques, these forbidden arts, if you will, they gain their powers by getting the blood of the god. He doesn't know how or where they're getting it from, but Nuva explained to him that her brother died of a curse. They've all heard that story, right? Of the twin moons? Well, his death was strange. What happened split him into a multiplanar being. His body exists on both planes. He's fairly certain that they're using the abyss to get his flesh, if that's where it is. What? You're insane. You're saying that a god's corpse is in the abyss? I'm pretty sure that's what I saw. You saw it? When did you see it? 2 years ago. I just couldn't process what I saw. I mean, that. Why? Clearly, Druso is trying something different. Deku looking at Theodore. And the man, he does want to straighten his back, looking at Deku. Expressing. He hates to say it, but he thinks Druso's on their side. Him watching Deku's gaze immediately narrow. Him bring up his hands. I'm just saying. I think he's on our side. He. Why? Why? How could he be on our side? After everything is done, he killed Kirishima. I mean, what if he's the Fallen? What if Druso is just supposed to die like any other fucking general of the Demon Lord? Listen, after what he's done, he attacked York and Granala. He was the commander, wasn't he? He's the second in command, Theodore. He was, but this is the only time we've seen him walk away from an attack, isn't it? No, it's not. He retreated during York. Yes, but he is correct. At any point, he could have killed you. If he was there for a minute longer, he would have seen you pass out. Wasn't he going to kill you before? I think he was. But then he saw you. Her back straightening. I know. But that's what I'm saying. What if he is on our side? I don't see how that would be possible. If he was on our side, he'd be sitting at this table right now talking with us. Trying to. Or at the very least, he wouldn't have killed Kirishima. He would have tried better to be on this side than that side. That is all I'm saying about this matter. Right now, everyone looking at Deku barely contained rage hiding in his words. And it is a little frightening. The sheer idea that that man could be on their team, it threatens to send Deku into a rage. Though he does get a turn. Bakugo, seeing that Ochako doesn't like this thought either. Her face set in a scowl, but she does also look at Deku warily. Since he was the one who witnessed horrors. She has regular nightmares. But those got a little bit better. She can handle those, manage those. But him, she doesn't want to begin to imagine the type of things that went through his head during that curse. Especially considering the tyrant, he managed to break free of its control easily from what she saw. He is a terrifying enemy, but he's on their side. Her letting out a sigh as she does express. So what exactly is their next move then? If they keep attacking like this, they're going to be continuing to get desperate. And not exactly. They sent one of the Elder Titans at us. The Elder Titan. Everyone looking at Lillian. Her looking a bit confused. What? A Titan? Lily. Adrig going to express. His voice highly alarmed. You're saying that an Elderzai Titan attacked Granala? Yes, I believe it's so. There are only 3 of them in existence. If he sent one of them after Granala, I don't want to begin to imagine what he'll throw at them next time. Right now, him going to sit there. And Izuku does get to ask a somewhat dumb question. So, what does that mean? You killed a dark god. That is what that means. Something incomparable to be past me. You might as well have killed a Tarask. Deku nodding his head. As the man, he does still look fearful. Right now, him going to give Deku a small weary gaze before going to lower his head a little in a nod, and what Deku does recognize as a bit of submission, since this claim an Eldrazi Titan, it means something. Though it does have Deku curious. If this thing gave Druso powers, then they weakened him in a decent portion of the Demon Lord's forces. Him mentioning that a bit with a smile. And everyone, they do so good to smile themselves. A bit of a nod, thinking about that very fact. And Deku, he does even try to think about it more. Wait a second. if if the Demon Lord is using the body to create forbidden techniques, he's using artifacts and spells to travel through different dimensions. What is it? Then could the body travel through dimensions? Bakugo asking that question. And Deku, he does go to nod. I mentioned before, I would try to figure this out. If I could bring him back, I'd try. But I don't even know what to do to bring back a deity like this. That is correct. Though, Deku, what do you think? I'm not sure. Izuku, Deku feeling a little bit of goosebumps on his neck. Him finally recognizing that feeling. He thought it was just his muscles still trying to heal. But he doesn't focus on that. Yeah? Sorry, Indra, I'm trying to figure this all out in my head. What do you plan to do? I don't know. Listen, for right now, we need to grow stronger. Still? If I couldn't beat Druso, then we're going to lose. I don't know exactly how large the gap is, but if I'm going all out and I still can't beat him, then I'm considering it a loss. A total one at that. We need to plan this out more. For right now, my body's just screaming at me to rest. I still feel like shit. Right. So what should we do? I don't know. I should ask Arcano about this. Deku looking at Ochako. Who? My mentor. They don't like to be disturbed, but I'm sure they'll make an exception. Huh. Okay. Who is that? He's my mentor. Though he's a primordial. Chaos magic. I think I remember this conversation. Yeah, hopefully you do. I'm not even sure how to begin explaining it. Right. For right now, I suggest that we try to figure everything out. You guys can go out and train, grow stronger, and when I'm feeling a bit more up to it, we can spar. Maybe I can get a good grasp on where you guys are. I've got a bunch of quests in my inventory. I can give you guys some of them and we can start trying to level. So we're going to be grinding. Yeah. Though I think we should rest too. In fact, I think this might be the longest we've all been together in one place. Besides from, well, the battlefield and what happened at Granala. You're right, actually. Usually we just stick together and part ways after the battles. Though, I think it's because of the XP. Maybe. But we've all been here for a few days, even if you've been unconscious. Right. Trust me, there's definitely tension in the air with you two. Oh, fuck off. Dude, I'm just saying. You guys keep looking at each other that way. It's funny. Yeah, well, guess what? Ochako giving Deku the finger, talking about how she's not going to be part of his little thing. Deku going to raise an eyebrow, grabbing one of the cups on the table and asking her quite simply, what does she mean little? Taking a swig as her face does turn red. Her going to stand and pop away, as Atrig does clear his throat. Right now, standing himself and going to express. He has much to think about on these matters. If they are going to be trying to do what they can with this situation, he believes it is worth looking into himself. Though it is going to potentially cost him much. What do you mean? I will have to exchange dragon information with other dragons. It may cost me quite the coin. I'm not going to be happy about this. It will dive into my hoard significantly. I'll pay for it. Izuku, I would appreciate that, but I hardly doubt you could. My hoard is made up of millions of pounds of gold. Okay? And I've got 10 million gold in my inventory. The man turning his head. Are you being serious with me right now? Yeah. I've also got those dragon corpses still. After what I made last time, I'm sure I can make another 5. Especially considering the condition of some of them, but I'm not sure. I see. Yeah. And considering the fact that I need to continue to go out hunting, power up myself some more, I think I'm going to be getting more in the near future. Though I would need to look into what type of abilities some of them might have. If I can find one that would be interesting or good for me, then I want to say I can look into that. Huh. So you're going to continue to hunt dragons? For right now, I might not. They may not give me enough levels. But I'm just saying as precaution for empowerment. I see. Well then, I may ask around. I will make deals if I can and pass along information to you about what you might hunt for information or who I might be paying. Is that understood, Izuku? It is. I appreciate it, Drake. Deku, bring a hit up and going to dump 500,000 pieces of gold directly to the floor. And people, you're going to watch the pile does going to continue to grow and grow along the floor. The tavern keeper going to look at the room, filling its floor with gold. And Atrig does going to walk over. Right now, him going to grab the gold and begin putting it into his own inventory, allowing it to float up into the air and vanish. As, after a full minute, it does it finally stop. Him turning his head and looking around the room, taking the coin, and going to vanish with a smile plastered on his face. And Ochako is a pop back into the room, her letting out a sigh and expressing, crossing her arms. Right, sorry about that. She needed to go blow something up. You alright? Don't talk to me. Well, sorry for you ruining your expectations. Her glaring at him, before shooting him a small smile about how she didn't have any expectations from him. He's not her type. Good to know. Though, I'm worried about one thing. All of them looking at Bakugo. One of the guys said, I don't even know if I should repeat this. They are going to be doing something. The next time we see the Demon Lord, he might be wearing a familiar face. What? That was the gist of it. I'm not sure, but I. You think he's gonna dig up Kirishima? Deku looking directly at Ochako. All the jokes and seriousness returning, as the humor does get a fade. Right now, him going to express. Do they know that for sure? I don't know. No one knows where he's buried. They shouldn't, but the runes around his burial site, it should keep people away. That's true, but magic isn't certain like that. It doesn't work like that either. If they're trying to scry and find the location, then I don't even want to say it out loud for fear that they may be listening to us. Deku bring up a hand. Him and Bakugo both waving a seal of silence around them. And the two do both go look at each other. Ochako going to bring up a hand as she does go to create a seal in her hand and go to express. As Deku does reach out to both of them mentally. That, right now, they can talk this way. Good idea. So, magic isn't certain that way. Her going to gesture with her hands, still talking, mentally. Sometimes scrying it can show you the location of an object, but it also might show you where an object isn't. So, if you look around, well, it may not show up. Oh, another good example is how they have that concealment ability, right? From training. Aerodos has mentioned it before, but she taught him in Kirishima it, right? He couldn't get a handle on it. Right, but you could? Yeah, I know that technique. Bakugo going to hold up a finger. He's heard about it before, though it is interesting. Bring it up to his chin. How does it exactly work? The more you conceal your presence, the better you can hide. You can hide not only your intention, but if you're careful with it, even physically. You fade into the background of mana. You, I guess in the best way of saying it, master mana for a minute. It requires intense concentration, but if you can conceal yourself, you can conceal your mana, people won't even pay attention to you. You practically pass by like air. Think about turning into an element. It kind of works like that, but more in tune with what you're trying to do, with your intention. You don't want people to look at you or see you, so they don't. You're practically invisible. Right. Practically is my point. If people can't perceive you, but they know you're there, that's another thing. But with significant stealth, you're able to bypass them. But with invisibility and a few other spells mixed in, you can completely ignore it. Walk around like you own the place and no one can see you or hear you, especially with light step. That's another point here. So if they keep scrying around an area and find a place that they can't look at and they know that place is there, then they know wards are there to protect it for a reason. They'll look there. Exactly. This isn't good. We might need to move it. But can we? He's buried in a... Her bring her fingers up to her lips, talking about how someone might be listening, and that's the problem. Him nodding as they do gonna talk back in their normal voices. Right. Perhaps thinking about the space could be a problem. But for now, they need more information about what to do. They're going to be resting soon. But if he has quests, then should they try to do those before the dungeon? Maybe. I'm not sure. If it's possible, I think that we should get it done fast. Perhaps you're right. This is so confusing. It is. But I think that's kind of why it's like that. Fate seemed to have worked itself out. We're all here, and everything has been going down. But that's got me curious about a few other things. There's something that we're missing out of all this bullshit. This puzzle. I know. That's the most annoying part. By now, Ochako and Bakugo both going to stand and agreeing to get back to training. They've got a lot of catching up to do. And right now, they do to go down to try and look at the quest board to see if anything could catch their interest. Deku going to sit there for a minute and try to think about what to do. As Lillian does go to stand there and somewhat jab Indra a bit in the rib. Her telling her something as Deku does a turn. What? Right, sorry, Indra glaring at Lillian as she does go to express. There is something they should talk about. Him staring at her. Before she does somewhat coyly go to express. Well, the funny thing is she did just so happen to figure out that, oh, well, the thing here is it's really interesting to learn about. Um, she asked, and well, um, what Indra's trying to say is she laid an egg. Deku pausing for a minute. She lays eggs. Apparently, she lays eggs. I laid 3 eggs. What? Yeah, she laid 3 eggs, Izuku. You know, like a dragon does. Oh, oh. But how does that work? I don't know. Trust me, I'm trying to figure it out myself. Listen, with both of you, this is embarrassing. Indra going to lower her head and cover her hands over her face. Right now, Deku still just kind of alarmed by this. I mean, yeah, okay, that makes sense, but at the same time, he's confused. That's good? I mean, this means we're going to be parents then, right? Yeah, it does. I'm just confused by this announcement, though. I didn't tell my dad. When did this happen? A few days ago. I mean, I was stressed out and it just kind of happened. I'm not sure. It's weird to explain. Oh my god, does your dad know? Not yet. He's dealing with a lot. Though, yeah. Him nodding his head, trying to think about what to do. So, you need a nest. Or how does this all work? Right now, her going to explain to Izuku. She's tried talking to Halsey, and she doesn't exactly know either. The only other person who does know is their mother, along with Lillian. Right. Okay. So, has she been able to give you any advice? Not really. The best advice I was told was just to keep them warm in their element. I don't really know. But if I gotta take care of the eggs, then I'll be out of the fight. My dad might be able to look after them in his lair, but I don't know how long these take to hatch. She said that it takes dragon eggs months to hatch, but this is a rare circumstance. My dad had said it took me a few months to hatch myself, and whenever I was young, it was still hard on me. I was still weak. But these are even weirder circumstances. I'm half, you're full, they're a fourth. I mean, her going to pull one of them from her inventory and show Deku. And they look tiny. They're smaller, no, a little bit smaller than a football. How? Trust me, you don't want to know. Yeah, okay. I'm just surprised. Trust me, you and me both. But I'm fine. Right, right. So, how do we handle this? Well, they've grown a lot bigger and they're supposed to grow more. They grew? Her glaring at him. And he doesn't bring his hands up talking about it. This is uncharted territory, right? He has a right to ask questions. Her sighing as she does tell him. That's fair. She'll try to get as much as she can prepared. Although, if she's got to be busy handling this, then he's got his own responsibilities to handle. Him nodding before talking about how they can handle this today. See about looking into this. Maybe he can look around and see if he can find something. He does know if he goes to faraway lands, then it may not be weird for him to ask these questions. Though, maybe ask Jack? Please don't. I mean, I'm sure I can ask them. Maybe Zardith would know, or even Latoth. Maybe, but I'm pretty sure he'd try and celebrate. Maybe, but still. It'd be nice to know. Lillian going to express. Perhaps right now, they should keep this in mind. Treat them like a dragon up until things change. As far as they know, they'll gestate like normal dragon eggs. Keep them warm and eventually they'll grow and eventually hatch, right? Almost like a bird. Are you calling me a bird? I am not. Birds are weirder. Deku thinking about that for a minute. He doesn't know much about birds, but in this world, dinosaurs lay eggs, birds lay eggs, dragons lay eggs. A whole host of things could lay eggs. So, he is kind of in the, well, deep end over here. Right, that is fair. But the question here is now what? Now, I think we should try and figure this out. Up until then, I would say that we're fine. him nodding, as right now they do to retreat back up to the castle. And Izuku, he does try to decide what to do about the situation. Confide in, well, Bakugo's mentor. Try and visit that clan of dragons and see how they've handled all this. Or confess to Atrig about what's going on. Try and learn a bit more about that and take him away from his current task. Yeah, he'll go ahead and deal with the other thing. Perhaps they can learn more about what Bakugo's mentor does have possession of. What type of information? That definitely would be good. Though, getting into contact with Diso, that might be a little tricky. This currently on Deku's mind. Him reaching out to Bakugo to figure out exactly who he should call. Now, whenever Bakugo does get this information from Deku about how he wants to try and contact his mentor, he is a little surprised, especially since he's supposed to be resting. But there is where Deku does ask Halsey exactly if she can give Deku the information. Her excited and asking if Indra told him. Bakugo confused, him confirming as she does talk about how she will catch up with him later. Her rushing back over to the castle as Diso, he does a turn to Bakugo, scratching his head and talking about how it's a little complicated. So, is he trying to... I hope not. Jesus. And I thought my love life was complicated sometimes. Perhaps it is. But the circumstances are different. Are they not? Trust me, they're very different. The two going off to leave. Now, as Deku is trying to navigate these new, well, information and this new way of life, he's trying to think about how to handle all of this. He's busy trying to deal with becoming a father. Ochako and Bakugo are off on their adventures. Right now, it's unknown as to what is going on with the Demon Lord, if they're currently licking their wounds or trying to figure out how to retaliate once more. And while that is all happening, let's currently cut over to a small cottage. It is inside the walls of the city. Deku, he unknowingly walked right by it whenever he was making his way back over to the castle. And someone inside, they were looking at the scribbles they had listed down. Their mother, they work for the queen as one of the servants. They got a chance to actually see the hero, and they were quite intrigued to learn about these strange symbols that were on their hands, on their wrist. She's trying to study more about it. He didn't exactly heal the way they thought he would. The magics, the potions, all the items they thought they could try. But the runes on his wrist intrigued them. And right now, they do sit there inscribed into a page. As a young man, he is trying to cast the magical symbols into the air. Him trying to get it right, hoping he didn't miss anything. If the hero had access to powerful magic, then he would like to have access to it too. Though, he's got to be very careful. He's been trying to do this for a few days. It's been disastrous. Nothing's been working, it has been casting, and he's running out of ideas. There are some, but they're highly dangerous. And with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed and have an amazing day. I'll catch you guys in the next part.